Okay, so it looks like we're live and I just can't see it streaming over in Facebook yet. So I'm just going to just faff around for a little bit and make sure that's streaming through to Facebook. And as soon as I see that there, then let's get chatting. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, cool. All right, I can see us there. And so thanks for coming, Angela, coming to talk to us tonight. This is the amazing Angela. So I'm just going to read off a little bit of about you off here. So Angela Neville is a registered psychologist, and you work currently with as an Indigo Assessment and Counselling. So that's pretty fancy, and I know that that you've been studying for a lot of years for this, so you really know your stuff. Hey.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm really my passion is helping kids and their parents through learning and also anxiety, emotions, feelings, behavior. Yeah, and this is the right time to be giving them the support that they need.
Yeah. And I just said to Angela a little wee second ago that for some reason, because we were going to have this chat tonight, I just suddenly felt the urge to put on my gorilla onesie. So I'm dressed up like a gorilla and she looks like a fancy nice a psychologist, and I look like a gorilla. That's just great. But this isn't about us, this is about the children. So tell us, you put up a video the other day, and I just wanted to make sure that we got the information out there, for those who have got kids maybe that already feeling anxious, maybe their kids who already feel slightly anxious or have anxiety issues, or maybe it's just for mums who don't want their kids to feel anxious after all of this or cause any long-term fears for them. So what bits of advice would you give to parents?
I think a lot of it is common sense, and what a lot of parents have been doing is just reassuring their kids, showing them lots of love. We're actually fortunate that we're in lockdown with our kids, so we get to spend heaps of time with them. So just trying to keep that upbeat and happy and positive, and showing everybody that we care about each other, and trying not to let things get nasty. So just keeping some of the stress at bay. Making sure we're not putting too much pressure on each other.
So like you were saying, parents are at home with their kids and all that sort of thing, but there will be quite a lot of parents who have been sort of shunted home with work to do. So what kind of advice could you give to parents who are sort of, their time's a little bit,
Yeah, that's a really, really tricky one. And I also feel for those parents who are essential services workers, they've actually still got to go to work and find alternative childcare. So I really, salute them, because they're doing an amazing job to support us all. And hopefully they've managed to find a place where their kids are being cared for and in a supportive, loving environment. But yeah, trying to cope through all of the work at home when you've got kids as well. It's a really a juggling act. So again, just making sure that there's a sense of a calm environment, and setting some boundaries for the kids. Kids really need boundaries. They need routines, even though it feels like, we actually are on school holidays now, so usually the routines and stuff goes out the window, but this is actually a time where we need to have some stability in our lives, and kids really need that. They don't want to feel a sense of insecurity or threat, or that will actually start them feeling anxious and worried. So we need to try and put those routines in place, like try and keep the same bedtimes, same getting up times, try and get them dressed in the morning, also schedule in some exercise, some outdoor activities, and ask them what they would like to do, and set some goals for the day. Once they've got their goals set, then you can show them your goals. You can say, well, actually, I've got some work to do today. Try to be realistic, and realize you're not going to be able to fit in a whole 8-hour working day, because you are actually juggling the kids as well as everything else that's going on. So, be realistic, keep your work time to only doing the most important things, and try and negotiate with the kids as to how we can make that work.
Yeah. So you did just mention that keeping the stress down for them. So what kinds of things do you think are stress wars? What are the kinds of things that make us feel stressed when the kids are at home and we're all in lockdown?
Usually anything that's unexpected. So try and keep the routine so that kids know what's going to come up. They know that lunchtime is going to be at lunchtime, and that they're going to get dressed, and hopefully maybe make a set time each day where you're going to go outside for a bit of exercise and fresh air. Things that will stress them is possibly hearing about some of the things that are happening in the world. The death toll keeps going up and up. So try and shield them from that a little bit. I mean, still talk to them about the situation, what's going on. Keep it real, but keep it. Don't let them see any of the sensationalized stuff that's in the media. Just keep them to the facts, and just reassure them. They're not as street smart as us. We know as adults, we've done our history lessons, or we've learnt from our parents and grandparents that in the past we've had wars, we've had virus epidemics, we've had all sorts of nasty things going on in the world, but there's usually light at the end of the tunnel. So we know that there's hope, there's something to look forward for. Kids, on the other hand, they might just feel a total sense of doom. They don't know that we're going to come out at the other end. So we need to reassure them that this won't last forever. We're doing the best that we can, and they can help too. So get them on board with doing proactive things.
Yeah. So that's probably quite a good follow on from our talk with Yvonne last night, because she talked about managing our stress levels and just sort of how to navigate our own anxieties. And I think obviously what you're saying here is don't, let your anxieties spill over into your children and, create unnecessary anxiety for them. And also, obviously, routine is awesome. What would you say, though, because I saw the interview that the Prime Minister did with Nigel Latter, and, he said, oh, well, if your kids want to be on devices or TV for a whole month, just let them go for it. Like, everybody's got their own different thoughts and feelings on that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with Nigel to a certain point. Definitely choose your battles, because the kids are going to say, well, what else are we going to do? And they're going to really enjoy catching up with their friends. Like, social contact is so important to take away those stresses. When you're in a social atmosphere, it's been scientifically proven through neuroscience that if you're in a sense of community where you're sharing things with others, doesn't have to be face to face because we're not allowed to, but if you're online chatting to other people or on the phone, it actually gives you more of a sense of safety, more reassurance. So being online chatting to friends is a great thing. Even if they're playing games with their friends online, that's a good thing too. But just try and keep a bit of balance there. Just make sure that they know that for every hour that they spend online, maybe half an hour outside in the fresh air, and helping out around the house as well, because everyone's got a job to do.
Yeah, I like it. So, out and about, we still are luckily allowed to go for little walks and things around the block. And is that, would you just encourage them to do that multiple times a day, or is that a bit frowned upon going out too much? Is it just one little stroll around the block a day and then back home again? And what does that look like?
At the moment, from what I believe, we're allowed to go out as much as we like, as long as it's just within our own neighbourhood, just around the block. Luckily, we're up on the Hibiscus coast, so we get to visit the beach nearly every day. Very blessed. But we're not going to go mountain biking or go for 20k drives to the beach like our health minister.
Whoops.
Yep. But to be fair, I mean, he's human too, and he's probably just trying to manage his levels of stress and his family's levels of stress, and he probably didn't see any harm in it because he wasn't intending on being in contact with any other people.
So you can see intending on getting busted.
Yeah,
you're right.
So do walks or bike rides or scooter rides in your local neighbourhood, or if you're lucky to have a beach, or use your own backyard. I know some of our neighbours have set up little confidence courses or slalom trails for their kids to ride their bikes around. Just,
Wow.
be innovative, but bring the kids on board as well. Like, ask them what they would love to do, and maybe, give them some ideas, give them some hints of things that they might have seen online, and get some ideas from them. And when they're on board with choosing what they do, then they'll be more motivated to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think like those are awesome ideas, but there will be, a percentage of parents who probably, I don't know whether you would say it's creative is that, or we're not the ideas people, or maybe we've just got an awful lot of work to do, so can't actually be spending all that time with kids. Should we be feeling bad or beating ourselves up about that, or should we just be going, just however we make it through this, then as long as we make it through with a smile on our dial, that's
Definitely. Yep. If you set your expectations too high, then you're basically building yourself up for failure, and our kids will feel that anxiety. So just be easy on yourself, practice self-care.
Mm.
Just make sure that you're not trying to put too much in a day, maybe just one exercise session per day. If the kids want to do more, that's fine. I believe at the moment we're allowed to go out as often as we want, as long as we're not in contact with others. My auntie in England was saying that they're only allowed out once a day, so she's finding that quite hard. So make the most of
Yeah.
what we are allowed to do, and check that you are allowed to do it, because there are some people who are getting caught doing things they're not supposed to. But get the kids on board. Say this is the time that we've got. This is some ideas that we've got. Maybe let them go online and look at other things that other families have come up with. There's some awesome dance routines and songs that families are coming up with together. Maybe get them to create their own little song or routine or little skit or something and video it.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. And kids just love technology now, so they'll probably feel like if they're videoing themselves doing a dance, they're still on the device, so they'll probably be quite happy with it, eh?
And just explain to them that's still part of their learning. That's something they might have been doing at school, is making videos or getting involved in dance or music.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick little look through your notes here, because you had some really good points last night. The video that you filmed. So turn feelings of threat into a sense of safety. Can you expand on that just a little bit?
Yeah, so basically, as I mentioned, neuroscience research has shown that our feelings of threat in times like this, we are going to feel stressed, worried, anxious, and to turn that around into a sense of safety, that community feeling, the feeling that we're all in this together, we're all in the same boat, and we've got support. So chatting to people about it, also checking on others, making sure they're okay. Talking to friends, relatives, neighbours at a distance, of course. And it gives kids a sense of purpose if they're feeling that they are needed and doing things in the community. So even maybe getting them to write letters or draw drawings to send to some of the doctors and nurses working on the front line, some of the supermarket workers, and that's going to give them a sense of achievement, a sense of purpose, and hopefully it'll bolster their self-esteem as well.
That's I mean, I didn't think of that working for children, but it's the same with adults. It must be quite a psychological thing, and I'm not a psychologist, but it's, when you have to rise up almost like into not a leadership position, but when you have to rise up and be responsible, like, oh, I'm going to write a letter and thank our healthcare providers, and it's just a little kid doing that's got to, like you said, build up their self-esteem and make them feel a bit more confident. And does that result in feeling less scared when they are built up like that?
Yeah, it's giving everyone a sense of hope, just saying, you guys are doing a great job. We're doing a great job as well. We're staying home, we're doing the right thing. And that's showing, them showing the community that they're showing love and kindness towards everyone by doing a really important role of staying at home.
So it's actually a really beautiful lesson in a strange and warped way, but everybody seem to be learning some really beautiful lessons, and it's community and camaraderie, and not community in person, but there's so much camaraderie going on. I are seeing that as well, eh? Do you think there is a really high level of anxiety, or is it more the anxiety that adults are putting onto the children?
It is a big time of change. So I think everyone is feeling that. Some people will show it more than others. So it's really important, especially if we're feeling it ourselves, it's important that we look for those signs in our children. So, I mean, obvious signs like them, sitting down and curling up in a ball and crying, that's obviously that they're stressed. But also like subtle things like, not eating as well, or not sleeping, or even not doing things that they used to enjoy, starting to withdraw. So keep an eye on those signs, and just ask them to talk about it, or just give them heaps and heaps of reassurance. If you feel that they're not coping, then definitely seek help. Most doctors are still available for phone consultations, so they will be taking these things seriously. It is a real time of threat and a time of stress for all of us.
It is. It's been hugely impactful and in lots of ways for lots of different people. And I mean, even just a chat that I had tonight with one of our ladies, is she didn't even realize that she was feeling such a big level of stress, and it had actually kind of manifested in her completely losing her motivation to do things that she absolutely loves. So it's affected everybody regardless of whether you think it's affected you or not. Do you think teenagers and small children have reacted to this differently? Because, for example, my son's in his absolute element. He'd love just being in his cave and playing on devices all day, or Xboxing all day, and he's just absolutely loving that. When school starts, online, it's probably going to be a different story. But do they manage this differently, or are they coping differently, or is it just as per person?
Yeah, that's basically up to the individual, and also depending on what support they have. So probably if your son's feeling in a supportive, loving environment where there's not a lot of stress happening, he's probably just coasting along, and he's probably still feeling it deep down, but he's probably enjoying the screen time as well, and keeping in touch with his mates, doing what he loves.
Yeah.
Other teenagers will feel it a lot more if they're not feeling that support and that sense of hope. Yeah.
Yes, hope is a really big one, and we talked about it the other day on a live stream. And do you think that it's important for small children as well, just to have maybe even a plan of the things that they want to do when we come out of lockdown? Is that a good idea, or is that?
Definitely, yeah. A lot of parents and teachers are getting the kids to write a gratitude diary, and thinking of 3 things each day that they're grateful for. Just making the most of what they've got, and actually realizing there are other people that are much worse off than us. We are just so grateful that we've got a house over our head. We're allowed to stay home in our own home. We've got internet. Some kids don't, and we're allowed to, we've had some fantastic weather, so we're allowed to enjoy that. So just focusing on what they're grateful for, and also, as you said, looking to the future and what would be the one most wonderful thing I'd love to do once this is all over. Maybe go and give grandma a big hug, or something like that.
I love your ideas, and you make it sound like, oh, it's been such a beautiful experience, but it's not. But I guess that's literally your sort of teaching us by even speaking how you can model to your children calm and just happy and good feelings, and hope for the future and all of that. So I love your ideas. I love your advice.
Just got to make the most out of a bad situation, and just try and maintain that sense of calm, because that's going to reflect on the children and reflect back on us as parents.
Yeah, and then I suppose as well, I mean, if you're feeling the stress, and then the kids are catching that vibe, and then they get stressed and upset and start acting up, and then they're going to put it back on you, and it's just going to be a big old circle of craziness, isn't it? So really it's up to us to lead the way with the kids there.
Yeah, and there will be families that are experiencing that. Some kids don't cope so well in a family environment. They might be getting really stressed, and their behavior might be escalating. So and unfortunately the statistics show that domestic violence actually increases in times like this. So we really need to be mindful of what's happening in our families and our friends, and just check in on them, make sure they're okay, and offering that support, and asking if there's anything we can do remotely, of course. Even just dropping off things, dropping off shopping at the door, things like that can help in a big way.
So good. So let's check in on each other remotely, check in on each other, and just, I mean, stay connected. And like Yvonne was saying last night, is not, you know, physically connected, but socially connected. So just staying connected. Maybe, like you said, for the kids, we should also be, you know, just choosing what we watch, choosing what we allow to enter into our mind. And, you know, because we can all, you know, have way too much of this information going in, and then obviously create a really negative energy for ourselves. So, and that's going to affect the kids as well, eh? So it's sort of like, it's like the whole monkey say monkey do, gorilla say gorilla do, but it really is, eh? It's like you're going to have to lead the way for your children in a calm and, you know, nice chilled way, in order for them to be able to reflect that behavior back to you. So Angela, you have also given us a link so that we can just download the points to this talk tonight, hey? So I'm going to add that to, I didn't actually add it to this live because I'm not quite sure how to do it from a Zoom, but I'll do that when we get off this call. And so anybody who wants to follow up with notes on this call tonight, on this live stream tonight, I'll put the link in shortly. But are you available if people do have questions underneath this live stream? Are you available to answer some questions for them if they have them? Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. You're very, very good advice, and it's advice that we all need and actually can work for adults as well as children. So that's been amazing. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
See ya.
Soon. See ya.